see sis with so much privilege as a
So you can interrupt me for the last 10 minutes.
Like a halfback
so just to be clear, hang on.
Like
just to be clear, Blossom.
Crying white tears about trans
All
women
right, just
playing
can you
in
mute
sports.
Blossom for a moment, please? Thank you.
Realize you're making
hang on,
all
Riley. Hang on, Riley. So to make the point that Blossom has just literally interrupted me for 10 consecutive minutes without pausing breath. But the moment Riley has the audacity to interrupt Blossom, oh, guess what? That's the moment that the black transgender woman decides this is outrageous. Okay, you can unmute her now.
This feels like an SNL. This feels like an SNL skit.
It does.
Okay.
It's preposterous.
Riley Gaines completely owns this this clearly rational, level-headed thinking person right here named Blossom C. Brown. Now, obviously, I know you wouldn't be able to tell by looking at them, but this person is a transgender. And seeing as how Riley Gaines has been fighting the war of transgenders in women's sports, it just makes sense that Piers Morgan's going to have Riley Gaines here to debate this Blossom over here. Let's see how Riley Gaines fares against Blossom on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Serious question. Is this the same person that was on that Jubilee, that 25 versus 1 with Michael Knowles? It was like the transgender debate. Because this person looks a lot like the other person that was in that debate. But this person's name is Blossom C. Brown. That other person was something powerhouse. I don't remember the complete name.
Riley have her talking points, so I'm going to actually have my talking point right now. CC is definitely a wonderful person, and I think, let's be clear, Donald Trump is a complete moron. Donald Trump talks so much about waste and fraud, and you're signing a whole executive order banning trans women from playing sports. According to the NCAA, there are over 510,000 athletes, and within those athletes, there are only less than 10 trans athletes. So you mean to tell me Donald Trump signed an executive order for 0.002 of the population when trans people are only 1%? That's a waste. That is a waste.
How is it a waste? How is not allowing someone into something a waste of money? What money does it take to keep them out of the sports?
Trans people exist. There are more than two sexes. There are intersex people that exist. And I think that it's nothing more than conservative propaganda that because Donald Trump is in power, he is able to use. I think Donald Trump should stop booty clapping to Elon Musk and actually get something done in this country. And eradicating trans people is not going to be it. And I stand 10 toes down on that.
Okay, so
I'll say very briefly, it's this argument that it's a small percentage of the population. I hope you realize it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not for every one male that's participating in a women's sport, it's one woman that's affected. In my sport, at our national championships, one male displaced 14,000 women. And I can speak for myself, I can speak for my teammates, I can speak for 99% of other female competitors on that pool deck. We all felt betrayed. We all felt violated in the locker room. We all felt it was unfair, but not enough people were courageous enough to say it because they were terrified. They were terrified of the name calling that you just pursued. Even, I mean, the first thing you say is Donald Trump is a moron. What 20-year-old girl wants to be called transphobic or any of the slurs that have been thrown my way? I can certainly attest to.
Riley, I think you're trying to, Riley, I think you're just trying to make it seem like that trans people are a threat to cis women in the restroom, and that's not the case. Trans women and
transgender women are a threat to cis women in the breast room. By the way, can someone give me directions to where the breast room is, please?
Cis women should be coming together. Trans women are not a threat to cis women.
Okay, but here's the look. Okay? But Blossom.
And I think that y'all have ran on that ideology.
Yeah, Blossom.
Y'all have ran on that ideology
Blossom,
for a very long time.
hang on.
And you're going to have to specifically tell me cases. Can you specifically tell me cases of where trans women have hurt cis women in the restroom?
Blossom,
I'd like to know that,
Blossom,
please.
we don't use words like cis on here because no one understands it. Let's just...
well, I use cisgender, so that's where I'm
sure you
from,
do, but
that's
nobody...
what I like to use. That's in my vocabulary.
Yeah, but nobody else understands it. Let's just stick to my question. My question for you, which you have...
just because you don't understand, you just don't have the intellectual capacity, Piers. You don't have the intellectual capacity to understand the terminology that I'm using.
Blossom, just to explain something. You're appearing on a show called Piers Morgan Uncensored. That means you can say whatever you want.
I know all about you, Piers.
Okay, you can think
and I know how you're good at race baiting. I know how you're good at being transphobic, and that's why I'm here to face you.
Just to be clear,
face you one-on-one.
When do you think I've ever race baited?
Honey, you remember that whole incident with Sharon Osbourne?
Yes.
Let's not forget.
Oh, you know, I
Don't
do.
get me started on
I
that.
do.
But
What
we're
do you
not
think?
here to talk about Miss Sharon Osbourne.
What do you think happened there?
We're not here to talk about Miss Sharon Osbourne.
Yes, what
we're
do
here
you
to
think?
talk about trans people in sports.
Hang on, you've raised...
You are notorious.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Pierce,
Let's
you
have
are
a conversation.
notorious
Let's have a conversation.
for
Let's talk about the
being
Sharon Osbourne thing.
Racist,
let me tell you what.
allegedly.
Since you've raised it.
Notorious.
Since you've raised it.
I'm a black trans woman.
Blossom, stop talking
and
for a
you have
moment.
cut me off so many times since I've been here.
Okay,
But
Blossom.
yet, Riley, you give
Can
the
we have a
white girl-
conversation, please?
You give the white girl all the time to
Can we
talk,
have a conversation, please?
and the black girl is having to speak.
Actually, at the
You
moment, the
accused
black girl
Piers
is doing all the
of
talking.
raping.
So,
Go
hang on.
ahead. That's-
What in the world was that?
Can I just say something, please?
That's my opinion.
All right.
That's my view.
Blossom,
You're more than
stop
welcome to
talking. Support.
Piers Morgan. I like how these people they do all the talking, like they don't shut up, and then as soon as someone else tries to talk or tells them, okay, listen, can you take a pause in a second and let someone else respond, they're like, oh, you don't let me talk. And it's like, you've done nothing but the talking. We just need you to just shut up real fast so that someone else could offer a rebuttal to what you are saying, to some of the insane things that you are saying. All right, I'm going to fast forward this. As I'm fast forwarding, I just want to encourage you to smash that like button if you're enjoying so far. Subscribe to my channel. You'll be helping me out a lot.
It's complete and utter nonsense. I'm very glad you raised the Sharon Osbourne thing, as you put it, just to remind people and you and educate you about what happened. I was removed from my job hosting a morning show in Britain called Good Morning Britain because I disbelieved Meghan Markle's claims of racism against the royal family. Okay? I never said a racist...
Why? I
hang
never
on.
understand why. She's a
Let me
black woman.
finish. I never said a racist thing about anybody, least of all Meghan Markle. I've never invoked her skin colour. In fact, on the day she got married to Prince Harry, I wrote a front page story in a national newspaper in this country in which I extolled the glorious moment we finally had a biracial wedding in our otherwise all-white royal family. You might be bored, but I'm going to address your allegation.
Okay,
that
Piers,
hang on,
you're doing
I haven't
all this
finished. I haven't
talking,
finished.
but I'm here to
I
talk
haven't
about trans
finished.
women.
Blossom just wants to talk about themselves. That's all this is. Because a lot of these transgender people, they're narcissists. They want it to always be all about them. So if it's not about just them talking about themselves and their experiences and trans experience and whatnot, they don't know what to do with themselves. They can't just sit still and actually listen.
Let me finish. Let me just educate you.
Well, I didn't get to finish.
Let me just educate you with some
You don't
facts.
get to disrespect a
You've
black
called me a
trans woman.
race
Do not
baiter.
interrupt a black
You've
trans
called me a
woman when
race.
she's speaking,
Please
okay?
stop talking. You've called me a race baiter.
Allegedly.
Hang on.
Alleged race
Hang on.
baiter.
And you. Right. So let me finish. So what happened then was Sharon Osbourne, who was on a show called The Talk on CBS, now sadly no longer there because they got rid of Sharon. And guess what? Nobody wanted to watch it. And Cheryl Underwood, a black woman on that panel, set up Sharon Osbourne in the most despicable manner imaginable. And she said to Sharon Osbourne, why did you support Piers Morgan when he said those racist things?
Of course you would
and Sharon
think a black
Osbourne,
woman is
hang
doing
on,
things
you
despicably.
can respond when I
Of
finish
course
telling
you
you
would
what
think a
happened.
black woman
You
is
can
despicable,
respond
Piers.
when
You
I
are
tell you
disgusting,
what
Piers.
happened.
I just want you to know you are
Blossom,
a disgusting
you can respond.
white cis man.
You can respond when I finished telling you what happened. And you can challenge me on facts.
Go ahead.
What you can't challenge me is something you've seen on TikTok. So let me finish. So Sharon Osbourne was told,
TikTok.
why did...
Nobody said that on TikTok.
Someone's-
It was all over the news here in America. Piers.
Cheryl
What are you
Underwood.
talking about?
Cheryl Underwood said to Sharon Osbourne,
We're here to talk about trans
okay, if you're going to keep talking, I'll mute you.
sports.
I will mute you, but don't let me mute you. Let me just finish. Then you can respond. Cheryl Underwood said, why did you support Piers Morgan when he said those racist things? Sharon said, what racist things? And as a result of that, by getting annoyed that she was being set up to try and supposedly defend her friend me in saying racist things I'd never said, Sharon got fired from the talk. And she was left suicidal in the year that followed. That her whole career was sent down the drain because, ironically, the race baiter was actually the black woman on that panel, Cheryl Underwood, not Sharon Osbourne, and not me. So I'm very glad you raised the issue of race baiting. But let's be clear, as you're doing now, the race baiting came from Cheryl Underwood to Sharon Osbourne, and it's now coming from you. So now you can respond.
Cannot be racist, Piers.
Now you can
Black
respond.
women cannot be racist to white women. Are you kidding me?
Sorry?
That makes no sense.
Sorry?
Black women cannot be racist to white women. Do you not understand that?
Oh, yes, they can.
You don't have the intellectual
yes, they
capacity
can.
to understand that.
Oh, yes, they
But that's
can.
very much
and you've been
impossible.
racist to me.
That's very much
You've
impossible.
been racist to me, a white man, by saying I'm a race baiter. Yeah.
How am I racist to you? I'm black. I can't be racist to you.
You call me a race baiter with no evidence.
Racist to me.
When have I
You
been
can
a
be
race
racist-
baiter?
You can be racist to me.
When have I been a race baiter?
But I'm a powerhouse.
Tell me when I've been a race
I'm
baiter.
a powerhouse.
Well, you may be a
Pierce,
powerhouse.
I understand something.
You may be
I'm a powerhouse.
You may be a powerhouse.
Okay.
When have I been a race baiter?
Oh, you admit that.
When have
Okay.
I been a race baiter?
Okay.
When have I been a race baiter?
Okay.
This is absurd.
No, hang on. Tell me,
Honey.
Blossom.
Absurd.
Give me one example of me race baiting. Blossom, go.
I'm here. At this point, I'm just here to talk about trans women in sports. I said what I said.
So you don't have
and I don't
anything,
to
do you?
Repeat anything.
You called me a race baiter, but you have no evidence I've ever race baited. You admit it?
Do you believe African Americans are
talking about.
superior to?
Let's move forward.
Fascinating. Like so many people, you play that race card and you can't defend it. You can't support it. There is no evidence.
It's not. Hold on. Let me check you on that. Let me check you on that. You talk about this race card or whatnot. The race card is reality. My experience as a black trans woman is completely different than yours as
Reality?
a white cis man.
Well, let me ask you about reality then.
Speaking, do not interrupt a black trans woman when I'm speaking.
Oh, don't be so
Do not interrupt a
pathetic.
black trans woman when I'm speaking, okay? Riley sits with so much privilege as a
So you
white
can
woman that
interrupt
she can
me
go
for the last
around
10
looking
minutes.
like a halfback
So just to be
Tommy
clear,
Lauren.
just to be clear,
Right,
hang on.
looking like Tommy
Just to be clear,
Lauren,
Blossom.
crying white tears about trans
All
women
right, just
playing
can you
in
mute
sports.
Blossom for a
wanna talk
moment,
about-
please? Thank you.
realize you're making
hang on,
all
Riley. Hang on, Riley.
that,
So to make the
right?
point that Blossom has just literally interrupted me for 10 consecutive minutes without pausing breath. But the moment Riley has the audacity to interrupt Blossom, oh, guess what? That's the moment that the black transgender woman decides this is outrageous. Okay, you can unmute her now.
This feels
Do
like
not
an
gaslight
SNL.
Pierce.
This feels like an SNL skit.
It does.
Okay.
It's preposterous.
I'm glad that Riley said that because this person here looks like Tracy Morgan in a wig.
Here's I just want you to remember that Blossom said what her basis and perspective of life is rooted in reality. So please remember that as we continue this conversation.
Which brings me to
forward.
my question, which you haven't answered, Blossom, which is why do we separate the sexes in the Olympics?
Here's the thing. I'm not an Olympian.
Oh,
I don't play sports.
you don't know why we separate
I
the
think
sexes?
what you're saying is conservative propaganda. I think what
Propaganda?
you're saying is conservative propaganda.
Conservative
It's propaganda, and that you're able
I
to
asked you
play
why
off
we
of it,
separate.
Pierce.
I asked you why we
create
separate
a
the sexes.
platform
Maybe frame it
off
like
of
this.
that.
Why do we separate the
Frame it like
sexes?
this.
Again,
Why do we have the
again, when we
Olympics
talk
versus
about trans
Paralympics?
people, when we talk about trans people, we're talking about gender identity. I need both of y'all mindset to become more expansive.
Right.
I know that's a little hard for
Can you
both
answer
of
my
you.
question?
Because both of you have
Can you
the brains
answer
of
my
a peanut.
question?
I understand that's hard for both of y'all.
Can you answer my
I should say
question?
a seed.
Can you answer my question?
Again, when we talk about trans people, we're talking about gender identity. We're not just
That's
focused
not my
on
question.
sex.
That's not my
think
question.
That what y'all like to do is reduce conversations down to sex.
What
and
you all
genitalia,
like to do-
and you try to apply it to what's happening in the Olympics. Okay.
And I'm asking you a very.
Play in sports.
And I'm asking
trans
you.
women should participate in
The Olympics, the next
and I
Olympics,
think
the
what
next
you're
Olympics.
doing
Okay, Blossom.
is spreading misinformation.
Blossom, I
and
don't want to
you
have to
are
mute you
spreading
again.
Conservative propaganda that should not be.
Okay.
Man, I didn't think Piers Morgan really needed all these ads on here. Before we begin again, I mean, this person is an absolute lunatic, but I mean, just look at them. It's not really hard to tell. That's not exactly a hot take. She's saying, well, all you guys are talking about is gender and genitalia. Yeah, that's what this whole thing is about. It's all about gender, what makes women different from men, why we shouldn't allow men to compete in women's sports. That's what this whole thing is about. That's what you are making this about.
The Olympics will be in America, in Los Angeles. I'll ask you one more
Yes, they
time.
will.
Why do we separate the sexes in the Olympics? Why do we have men and women competing separately? Give me an answer.
Well, Pierce, won't you tell me the answer since I don't know?
You don't know the answer? Oh, Riley's got a hand up.
Oh,
Riley,
me,
I don't know.
Riley, why don't you educate? Why don't you educate
tell me the
Blossom?
answer since I don't know?
Riley, why do we separate the sexes in the Olympics?
Because men and women are different. We have different physical ceilings. It's the same reason why you have any category. It's the same reason why we have the Paralympics versus the Olympics. It's the same reason why we have weight classes in boxing. We don't have weight classes in boxing because we are fat shaming people who weigh more. No, we have weight classes because it would be unfair. We know the outcome. Every single person, kindergartners know the outcome of what would happen if we had a 220-pound man fight a 170-pound man. It's the same reason why we have age divisions. We don't have 12 and unders or
She
PV
doesn't know
leagues.
that. What if that 220-pound, wait, what if that 170-pound man has the agility to beat that 220-pound man? That makes
So
no
you
sense.
want to base all of
I'm
the
so
Olympics off
sorry.
of exceptions?
Your answer makes
Off of
no
exceptions.
sense. That makes no sense.
Blossom,
Y'all don't know
bottom
anything
line, it
about
doesn't make
somebody's
sense to you.
biochemistry.
It makes
Somebody's
sense
biology
to
you do not
99%
know.
of common
You
sense.
do not
Actually,
know,
100%
Riley. I'm
of
sorry.
common
You
sense
absolutely do
individuals.
not know about somebody's biology.
You just admitted you're not an
Everybody's
athlete.
chemistry
You
is
just
made
admitted that
differently.
you have never competed at the highest
Genetics,
level.
and see, this is the thing. I don't have to. I don't have to be an athlete to talk about this because this affects
Well, you
my
just said you
community
couldn't answer
I am
because you're not an
trans.
Olympian.
All right, you know what we're going to try?
Athletes
Why don't we
are
try?
athletes.
Okay.
We should
You're
be
not
talking about
Olympian.
Chris
Can we please
Mosier.
stop
We should be
talking at the
reaching out
same
to
time?
Skylar Baylor.
If you
We should
talk
be
at the
reaching
same
out
time,
to
Blossom.
Hofer.
If you
There are
talk,
many
if
people.
you
I
talk,
just gave you a list of
Blossom.
people.
If you talk
just
at the
gave you a
same
list of
time,
people.
nobody can hear either of you. Okay? So, Blossom, let's start with you again. A simple question. I'll tell you why they separate the sexes, just as Riley has. It's because men have a physical advantage over women, which would mean that women would not win more than a handful of medals in the entire Olympics. Would you be happy if it was a gender-neutral Olympics?
Why are we?
Hang on.
Why
Answer
are we
my
saying
question.
this about women, though?
Answer my
Women
question.
are just as strong as men.
I'm asking
sorry.
you,
I'm sorry. Women are just as strong as men.
So
women
just to
are
be
just
clear,
as powerful
okay,
as men.
okay.
And I don't believe that.
Okay, Blossom.
That's just your opinion.
So, Blossom,
that's not always fact.
Blossom, if
That's just your opinion? No. Oh my goodness. That is just your opinion. No. That is just facts. That is biology. It's funny because they're trying to bring in biology. They're trying to insert biology in all this, but inserting biology into all this it just backfires on them because biology is the whole reason why we don't allow men in women's sports. It's like what Riley Gaines was saying earlier. It's why we don't allow children to compete with full-grown adults. It's why we don't let 200-pound men, 300-pound men face off against 100-pound men. That's why we have weight classes. It's because of biology. Because it doesn't matter what we think or what we feel or what this person feels. It's about facts and biology. And the facts of the matter are, if you want to have an even playing ground in sports, you have to divide the people up into some way or else it just won't be fair.
world #1 tennis player.
I don't buy it.
Okay, you know that Serena Williams admits that she would be beaten by the top 1,000 men in the world at tennis, right? You know that, do you?
No, I did not.
You did not know that. So,
the 200
Okay, where's the?
So you
can
don't
show me
know
the
that.
receipts? Can
You don't
y'all
know
show
why
me-
men and women
excuse
get
me,
separated
can y'all show me the
Olympics?
I have
receipts?
the
I would like
receipts
to
right
read
here.
those receipts.
Both Serena and Venus Williams lost.
Are you
in a
waving them?
blowout.
Are you waving them around?
what?
You can
Okay.
look it up to the 203rd ranked male player. He drank in between sets, smoked in between sets, and played 18 holes of golf before, and admitted that he played like a 600 male ranked player. And they lost in a blowout, and they are phenoms, the best of the best. No other woman for a while even could come close to them, and they got beat by a man. Let me repeat it. In a blowout, the 203rd ranked male player who admitted he played like a 600 ranked
Girl,
player,
bye.
drank, smoked between sets, and played 18 holes of golf before.
Blossom, just to be clear, would you want the American Olympics, the LA Olympics, would you want them to be gender neutral where the sexes compete with each other?
Absolutely. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think
Okay,
as long as
do
it's
you also
inclusive
believe-
of
It's
trans
completely
women
insane.
and trans men and non-binary
Do you
people,
also believe
then yes,
that we should
why not?
combine
It's
the
completely
parent- Do you also
insane.
believe-
This country was built on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And all those
Exactly.
countries trying
This
to
is
get rid
why
of
that's
DE
so.
No, this country was not built off of diversity, equity, and inclusion. If it were built off of that lefty nonsense, no one would want to live here. And that it would be populated by a bunch of you, and nobody wants that. No one would want to stay there. No one would want to live there. It would just be horrible.
that does include cis women like
And you know what you would do?
Hello?
You would exclude all women from winning medals. Well done.
That's also very.
That's not true. That is not true. Can we talk about Leah Thomas? Now, I bring up Leah Thomas because Riley knows her very well. I bring up Leah Thomas because the reality is, yes, she won some games, but Leah also lost some games to cis women. So there are some cis women who are faster than Leah. There are some cis women who are stronger than Leah. And again, when we talk about genetics, there are some cis women that have natural higher testosterone levels than trans women. That's why some of them may look more masculine. Iman Khalif had to experience that transphobia, which, by the way, transphobia affects all women. And now that Trump has excluded trans women from playing in sports, all women are going to be subjected to rigorous tests to make sure that they're not trans. And that does include cis women. I don't care how feminine they look. You could potentially be subjected to these rigorous tests because Donald Trump took his peanut head, red, orange behind and signed an executive order that he doesn't even know anything about. He's a convicted felon, 34 felonies, right? We also need to be focusing on letting convicted felons in this country vote since we elected a convicted felon, right? There's so much more work. The economy is tanking here in America.
All right, Riley?
Gas prices are high.
Okay.
I love how these lefties are all of a sudden concerned about the economy when Trump is in office. I've said it before in my videos, but I like how they advocate for all these things that would ruin the economy and did ruin the economy. When Biden's in office, oh, it's all good. It's all good. And if you're against it, you're a bigot. But as soon as Trump steps in and wants to do tariffs or this and that, oh, all of a sudden, what about the economy? Oh, yeah. Now you're concerned about the economy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, save it. Lefties aren't allowed to talk about the economy, okay? They lost the right to talk about the economy as soon as they did this 180 about the economy now that Trump's in office. Yeah, no. We all know they don't care about the economy. So I'm not even going to address Blossom's economy arguments and concerns. As far as these, like, old, how Leah Thomas has lost some races against actual women just because he's a crappy swimmer, which is why he had to enter the women's division because he wasn't good enough to compete with other men. Yeah, that doesn't mean we should just start allowing men into women's sports. I mean, as Riley Gaines mentioned earlier with the Serena and Venus Williams story, the male tennis player that they played against was smoking before and drinking, and he wasn't even playing to his highest standard, and he still defeated the top 2 female tennis players in the world. And yes, just because there are some women that have a high testosterone level, doesn't mean that we should just start allowing the men to play with the women. Because yes, while there are some exceptions, there are always exceptions to every rule, no matter what. Every rule or every law of nature that you find, there's going to be exceptions. Doesn't mean we need to then throw away the freaking the baby with the bathwater and flip everything around for these small exceptions for this small population of people.
It's Trump focused so much on trans people
because he wants to preserve the integrity. Because
guess what?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, Blossom. Because he's up at. I'll tell you why, Blossom.
I'm a woman.
Hang on, Riley. Hang on, Blossom. Here's why. Because he's up against complete lunatics like you who think it would be right to have a gender-neutral Olympics. A gender-neutral Olympics is the most insane thing I've ever heard from any trans activist in history. Lunacy.
Exactly why Donald Trump
you haven't found that until you met me. I'm not your average trans woman, in case you didn't notice that. I'm not your average trans woman.
Riley.
What is the average trans woman, though? Like, what does that mean? You're not the average. I mean, you look like the average trans woman to me.
People like Blossom are exactly why Donald Trump won on November 5th. People, I believe.
Oh, girl, please. Donald Trump rigged the election, which is why he's sitting in office now.
Can we mute?
And he's sitting up there booty clapping.
Election denier. We got an election denier.
Riley, you respond.
People turned out, I believe, in masses to the polls on November 5th to embrace Donald Trump, to embrace the America First agenda, to embrace his cabinet picks. But more so, I believe people turned out to the polls to reject absurdity. And that is exactly what the past 30 minutes have been on this program, Piers, is totally, entirely, and thoroughly absurd from top to bottom, saying there should be a gender-neutral Olympics.
I know.
Are you serious?
Madness.
Do you also believe, Blossom, that we should combine the Paralympics and the Olympics? I would love to hear an answer to that.
Okay, I'll ask her. Bring back Blossom. Blossom, should we combine the Paralympics with the regular Olympics? Have them all compete with each other?
I mean, why not? And to go back to Riley's point to that last point.
Okay, you are completely insane.
Oh my
go back to that last point.
Yeah.
No,
So
because
no
she
Paralympian will win a
said
medal.
something that I wanted to respond to.
So no Paralympian will win a
is,
medal. So your diversity, equity, and inclusion turns out to be unequal and doesn't include any Paralympian or any woman.
People went to the polls because they want prices to come down. People went to the polls. They went to the polls to vote because they had every right to.
Yeah, and they voted for Donald Trump. And you know why? You know why they voted for Trump? Because people like you have turned this debate into a total farce.
Donald Trump rigged that election. Donald Trump does not even have the capacity to even run this country.
Mute Blossom one more time because I want to thank Riley. Thank you, Blossom. Riley, thank you for engaging in this in the best way you could have done.
Just because it's really bugging me, I need to go double check to see if this is the same person that Michael Knowles debated against.
Hi.
Hello.
Blossom. She, her, hers powerhouse.
Okay, it is Blossom. Okay, all right, same person. We got it. Oh, and her pronouns were powerhouse. I thought her name was Blossom Powerhouse, but it's Blossom, she, hers / powerhouse. Okay, so Blossom is completely insufferable, and they look like the type of person that would be completely insufferable. Like, if you watch this debate, they come off completely like unhinged. The Paralympics competing with the regular Olympics, you know, and they're like, yeah, like this person at least just believes everyone should be able to compete against each other. Again, I would like to hear their thoughts on, let's say, a child competing against an adult. I would like to hear their opinion on that. Pretty sure it's not going to be that. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the same. But regardless, at least for the most part, they're consistent. With that being said, they are totally dead wrong. This Blossom person is a complete lunatic who doesn't know what they're talking about and just wants to say anything to justify their own whatever they got going on internally with themselves. Them being trans themselves, they obviously feel that this whole trans thing is justified and we should just allow men competing with women and all that stuff because they want to continue engaging in that behavior. Which, by the way, I don't agree with them if they want to pretend to be a woman for the rest of their life. That's all fine and dandy. But it's when you start affecting actual women by having men competing in sports, by having men being able to go into women's restrooms, women's locker rooms, women's prisons. That's when it becomes an issue. When we have to go along with whatever internal issues you have with yourself, when we have to play along to that extent, that's when it becomes a big issue. And people like Blossom are either really don't understand that, or they're choosing not to understand that because they want to continue in their own personal delusions and justify their own delusions. Which, what kind of existence is that when you have to command the whole world to play along with your delusions? This was a great clip here. Riley Gaines doing a great job when she was allowed to talk. Piers Morgan also did a good job shutting down this Blossom person. What did you think about this clip? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this clip. And if you did enjoy this clip, if you like seeing Piers Morgan panels like this, I got a whole playlist for you to binge and enjoy. And I also got a ton of other content on my channel as well, very similar to this, that I think you'll find highly entertaining.